Have you ever felt like you're laning, you've got a bit of an advantage, you keep doing damage to them, but you just can't finish them off? Parrying the tower is going to help you a lot with that. So when they're low, what you can do is you can walk up to the tower and parry it essentially as soon as it melees you. And it should melee you right away in most situations. It's still a little buggy at times. And if you parry it, it'll stun the tower for a few seconds, giving you some time to try to kill the enemy hero, even when they're hiding very passively. Parrying the tower has two main uses. The first use is diving enemy heroes, just like I spoke, when you already have an advantage. The second use, however, is just getting more damage onto the tower. Let's say in a situation you're pushing the tower, both enemy heroes are either hurt or you just got a kill on them. In this situation, dashing in, parrying, and then backing up will allow you to get a little bit of extra damage in because it'll give you a few more seconds while the tower is not shooting at all. This will allow your troopers to deal more damage to that tower. So those are really the main two uses for parrying tower. One thing to note is parrying the tower does not give you any extra bonus damage towards the tower, but it just helps you push it or dive enemies. In the laning stage, if you do the first thing successfully, you parry the tower, you dive them, and then you kill them, a lot of the time, you'll be pretty hurt. You might be 200 HP, 300 HP, and then you find yourself faced with a decision. What do I do? Do I go back to base? Do I buy healing right? Do I buy extra regen? Do I stay low? In these situations, it's extremely useful to understanding the concept of denying yourself. So there are two main ways to deny yourself. Well, three, depending on what time it is during the game. The first way to deny yourself is to go at a tower and just let the tower kill you. The second way to deny yourself is to use the spikes that are on the map. So on rooftops, there are spikes, right? And then if you go on those rooftops, it will kill you. So if you're 200 HP, it'll take a few seconds, but then it will kill you. And then the third way is neutral camps. So let's say you're 50 health and you want to deny yourself, you can go to a neutral camp and then let it kill you. The main advantage of doing this is that it'll respawn you in your base with full health, cooldowns, and it won't give the enemy any souls for the kill. So a lot of the time, this is more effective than buying something like healing right, because first of all, it'll heal you to full HP. And as long as you clear the wave before doing this, you're not going to lose any souls for doing that. And you're going to come back with full health. There's a lot of advantages to it. I would say this is most useful before 5 or 6 minutes. The later the game goes, the less, eventually this doesn't work, right? You do it at 10 minutes, it no longer works because the respawn timers are too long. So what makes this work is the respawn timers are very, very short in the early game. So make sure to abuse this. If you wipe them, you get both kills in the laning stage. You can just deny yourself to their tower. Just wait a couple seconds to make sure they don't get an assist right away. I would recommend waiting around 10 seconds. But yeah. There's a lot of things that people aren't doing that give you a lot more stats or souls, and these next two are going to cover some of those. The first thing is the Sinner Sacrifices jackpot mechanic, or so I call it. This is essentially when you heavy melee, when the lights reach the end of the Sinner Sacrifice, and it gives you 4 golden statue buffs. Now these buffs are incredibly valuable. The buffs early can give you 15 or 20 health, and generally the value of about, let's say, 100 health. 100 health would have a value of 300 to 400 souls, depending on how you value it. So the value of those stats is really, really hard to calculate, but it is incredibly valuable. So just understand, if you can ever get the jackpot on Sinner Sacrifices, you should. Now, there are a few exceptions to this. For example, if you are stealing one of their Sinner Sacrifices and you're in a risky position, don't feel like you need to stick around, right? Denying them the Sinner Sacrifice is still more important. But if you're ever in a safe position farming your Sinner Sacrifice, you should always get the heavy melee to get the 4 golden statue buffs. It's incredibly important, and those golden statue buffs really add up through the game. A bonus tip part of this is make sure you get all the golden statues around the map when you can. There are a few areas where there are more golden statues, but make sure that you essentially check it out. Always get the golden statues when they're on your way. Don't, min-max every golden statue on the map. Especially if you're a fast hero, though, getting them is very valuable. There are 2 box routes that are very, very, very useful to get more souls during the game. The first one is the boxes underneath mid. So right underneath mid, there's a bunch of boxes, as well as a few golden statues there. And they spawn at 10 minutes. And depending on your luck, from my experience, and someone correct me if I have the numbers wrong, but from my experience, depending on your luck, you can get 600 to 800 souls from them right when they spawn at 10 minutes, right? And later in the game, they can give you more souls. Of course, if you get really unlucky, in theory, you could get less because it's all RNG, so you don't know for sure how many souls you're going to get. But they are usually more valuable than a Sinner Sacrifice. And sometimes they're more valuable than even a tier 3 camp, and any hero can do them. All it takes is, you know, just for you to punch or shoot the boxes, right? So make sure you do these when they spawn at 10 minutes if you don't have anything better to do. In low ranks, I see these boxes go basically almost the whole game without ever being touched when I coach people. So make sure that you go for them. They're worth a lot of souls, and the stats in the golden statues are no joke either. If you do the box routes and you do the sinner sacrifices, you're going to end up with a large amount of unsecured souls. You ever feel like you fight and then all of a sudden you lose one fight, and even though you were 2,000 souls up on the Wraith, now all of a sudden she's 3,000 souls up on you just off of one fight, and you don't really understand how it happened? Most likely what's happening is you're dropping unsecured souls. So my advice to you is do not fight with a large amount of unsecured souls. Unsecured souls, you can see on the bottom left next to your soul count, are souls that are generated through specific sources. So troopers don't give you unsecured souls, they only give you secured souls, but the jungle as well as boxes give you unsecured souls. They secure over time, or if you spend all of them, they also become essentially secured since you no longer have them. So let's say you have 1,600 souls and 500 of those are unsecured. Try to spend your 1,600 in its entirety so that your unsecured souls also get spent, because they get spent last, right? And make sure that if you have a big bag, you're very, very careful about the fights that you take, because if you die, not only do you give them kill souls, but you'll also drop your bag and then they'll be able to take it. So it can easily lead into a net worth swing of thousands of souls from just one kill on you. Oh, the removal of teleporters and also the removal of certain jump pads around the map. A lot of people have come into my chat in the past couple of weeks and have been telling me, hey, I've been really struggling with rotation around the map. If you feel like that's the case for you, one thing you're probably not doing enough is mantle sliding. So basically, the mantle sliding is a very simple mechanic, but I see a lot of people not doing. And all you need to do is when you mantle, you hold control so that when you're done with your mantle, you're going to slide, right? And the biggest advantage of doing this is that doing the mantle slide actually gives you extra momentum, right? And this can really make a huge difference in your movement and how you move around the map if you start abusing this. You should mantle slide every single time you mantle. It does not matter what you mantle on, you should always mantle slide. Whenever I'm playing, I mantle slide on literally anything. Even if it's just a random sign that has like no ramp to go on, you can still mantle slide off of it and it'll give you a little extra boost of momentum. And it's incredibly powerful and really, really makes a huge difference in your movement around the map. So I would heavily recommend you get used to it. It'll take a little bit to get used to, but once you do get used to it, you're never going to look back. When you're making a build, do you ever feel like you're not really sure which items to put in, or you're not really sure how to fix certain issues? I've got two things that will help you make slightly better builds, or will at least give you a little bit more help in that regard. The first thing is, especially ever since the item rework, it's very, very important for your build to have a direction. So when you make the build, ask yourself, what do you want that build to do? Builds can't do everything, especially with 12 item slots. You need to focus your ideas into a specific purpose. So, for example, let's say you're playing Lash. Do you want to play around Slam? Do you want to play around Flog? Do you want to play around your ultimate? You have to make these decisions. Once you've picked a direction, you need to understand that there are no bad items in Deadlock. There are just certain items that are better in certain conditions or for certain heroes. With that being said, one thing you can do if you want to test, for example, the DPS of items is you can go into the sandbox and you can type in the console HUD_damage meter 1, and that DPS meter essentially tells you how much damage you're doing. So what I like to do, for example, is I'll pick a hero. Let's say we'll pick Billy, the new hero, and then I'll buy certain items. I'll enable the command, and then I'll see, okay, here's how much damage I did with these items, and then I'll replace one item with another. For example, I'll test Last Cannon versus Berserker with max stacks. I'll buy both items, test them one by one, replace them in my build, and then check the DPS meter and see how it's doing. This really helps see which item is better than the other under certain conditions, right? As far as I'm aware, that's how pretty much every build maker does it, and so I would highly recommend that you give it a shot yourself. Have you ever just gone into a fight, or you go in a side lane and you're like, ooh, I see Wraith, I think I can kill her. You go, you start to fight her, and all of a sudden, you're about to use your abilities, but there's the silenced effect. And you're like, how did that happen? After you die, you notice, oh, Wraith had silencer. It's incredibly important in order to prevent these situations that you check the enemy's hero's items frequently, especially before you take a fight or a 1v1. So let's say you see Wraith in a side lane and you're like, I want to 1v1 this Wraith. Make sure you check her items. I fall for this all the time. I still make this mistake all the time. You have to keep in mind which items they have. to know if you can fight them or not. For example, if you're playing Mina and you want to fight someone, you need to know if they have slowing hex. Because if they have slowing hex, that could be really, really bad for you. There are all sorts of other items that I could give as examples, but just be aware of what the enemy heroes have throughout the game and keep a mental note of it. Try to just hover over the enemy items, especially when you're farming the jungle or doing nothing or just hitting troopers. This guy has this guy has this item, this guy counters me, this guy doesn't counter me, this guy has no spirit resistance, and so I should go on this guy, etc., and adapt your in-game decisions to it. The most advanced tip I can give you from this video is, do you ever feel like you're not sure how to read the map, how to know when to be aggressive or not aggressive, or push walkers or not push a walker? One thing that's incredibly important is that you keep a mental note of who you can and cannot 1v1. Let's say I'm playing in Furnace, and on the enemy team, there's a Lady Geist, there's a Wraith, there's a Mirage. How do I know which one is scary and which one is not? So there's hero matchups. For example, in Furnace is generally quite good against Moen Krill, because Moen Krill is a very big target. It's very easy to set afterburn on him. Damage over time is also quite good. He's kind of a good hero against Moen Krill. Now, on the opposite, Infernus can struggle against a hero like Mirage because Mirage can tornado him, canceling his flame dash and leaving him basically defenseless. Based on these things, the hero matchups matter a lot. But the other thing is also the net worth and the items. If on their team, all of their heroes have 20,000 net worth, and then you've got a Wraith with 30,000, you know the Wraith is the scariest hero. If you yourself have 20,000 net worth, there's no chance that you're going to be beating her in a 1v1. So if you see her on the opposite side of the map, that should be a green light that tells you, hey, I can be aggressive. If you don't see her on the map and you don't know when she is, I should probably be a little bit more passive and just kind of like chill, wait until I have more info on the map before being aggressive. Always keep in mind who is dangerous. If you're a hero that struggles with getting caught as well, let's say you're playing Mina once again, and there's like a Moen Krill with Phantom Strike on the enemy team, or a Paradox that can swap you, etc., you want to be particularly careful of those pick heroes, and if you see them, that should make you feel a bit more comfortable about, hey, I can push this walker because I see the main threat to me showing on the other side of the map. That's it for this video. If you have any feedback about the editing style or any content in the video, feel free to leave it in the comments. If you're a new or returning player to Deadlock, I believe that I am the channel that will be the most helpful to you with advice about all sorts of random things you may not have even thought about. So if you'd like to see some specific type of video, put it in the comments. There were some good ideas in the comments last video, but I'm working on a few different things right now. So let me know if you have any ideas, comments, thoughts, anything, and I hope you enjoy your Deadlock games. Have a good one.